Hi everyone, my name is Peter Esisele. I'm a PhD student at University of Alberta. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the documents that you need to apply for admission. In Canada, in the US, I think it's pretty much the same for every country. And just before I move on to how you can apply, I just want to talk about some of the few things that you really need to decide before applying for admission. The very first thing is really thinking about what course that you really want to study, right? You should have, you search for that course and you have decided on the exact school you want to apply for, the exact program that you want to apply for, and now it is time for you to apply. The very first and one of the most important things to take notice of is the application deadline. If the deadline is already passed, then there is no way for you to apply for admission. So I would say start thinking about your application and your admission ahead of time, such that you can submit your application way before the deadline. In fact, for some programs, if you submit the application early, especially for masters, for PhD, in terms of funding, they just allocate funding based on first come first serve, right? So if you apply for admission early, then it's easy for them to give you that funding when you apply early. So make sure you apply like maybe 2-3 months before the application deadline. They are going to give you specific instruction in the departmental website as to when to apply in order to be eligible to funding. So all of the schools that you want to apply for, make sure you have the deadlines all written down and apply way before that deadline. The number two thing that you need to take notice of are the minimum requirements that every university require for it. And it also depends, right? If you're applying for a diploma program or a master, B.Sc or masters or PhD, the requirements are going to be different, and they mostly outline all of these requirements on their website. Just make sure that you read through the requirements. So just know that the more the higher the degree, the higher the requirements, right? So for diploma program, for example, they just need like your high school degree, right? Or your high school certificate rather. And there might be some requirements in terms of the subjects that you need to have a certain good grade in to be eligible to apply for those programs. So check the minimum requirement, and they might also have requirements per country, especially for maybe diploma programs. They can say for Nigeria or for Ghana, these are the minimum requirements and the type of high school certification or secondary school certificates that they apply for. And for masters or for PhD programs, they might tell you minimum requirement for this program is 75% in the last 2 years of your program, or 60%. I think most of them usually 65 to 70 to 75%, or 65 to 75%. That's usually the average minimum requirement for GPA, right? And sometimes they don't necessarily calculate the GPA by the cumulative, like overall. They can just probably calculate the last 2 years of your program. So what you can do, if you did a 4 years course, for example, you can look at between in your third and your fourth year, what were your GPA. You can kind of do your calculation together and then calculate that in terms of percentage. For example, if your GPA, I'm just going to do the calculation. If your GPA was let's say 4.0 out of 5.0, if you combine both 300 and 400 level together, or third and fourth year, then you want to calculate what percentage is that. You can just do 4 divided by 5 times 100, right? That gives you 80%. So 4.0 out of 5.0 is technically around 80%, right? And if you want to know most schools that require 70%, let's say 3.75 out of 5.0, it's around 75%, right? So if you got that in your third and your fourth year, you should be fine. But I would say, even though you meet that minimum requirement, that is not a guarantee for admission. It depends on the numbers of people that applied for that particular year. If you had 200 people that applied, and out of that 200 people, 100 people got 4.0 out of 5.0, and they want to admit only 50. So even though you got like 3.8, they might not select you, right? Except they look at some other criteria which might make you eligible. Now, what are some of the documents that are required? I'm just going to be giving breakdown based on whether you're applying for diploma, bachelor's, master's, or PhD. The easiest one is usually a diploma program, right? With your diploma program, you just need your secondary school or your high school certificate. You probably need your international passport, and some are required to upload a passport photograph, which a lot don't require that, but just check if they require it, and they might not. Most of them don't require CV. They don't require statement of a letter of explanation, statement of purpose, as the case may be. This is if you apply for a diploma and you just got out of high school, or you already completed secondary school, you just want to go do a diploma in an outside country. If you already have a B.Sc and you're applying to now apply for a diploma, whether a postgraduate diploma or another diploma, it doesn't matter, they always want you to declare any post-secondary education that you've had. So you need to show your B.Sc transcript, you need to show your secondary school. If you're from Nigeria, you need to show your WAEC result. If you're from that country, there's going to be some other, there will be secondary school or high school exam you write at the end of high school, right? So you can also show that. Then you need your international passport data pages for international students. Mostly they don't require statement of purpose or letter to explain why you want to study, what you want to do. For the most part, for the people that I've applied for, I haven't had to write that particular statement of purpose. Okay. If you're applying for a bachelor's degree, is kind of very similar to the requirement for a diploma, right? If you're applying for a bachelor's degree fresh out of college, then you might need to show your secondary school result. Some schools might require you to get your secondary school transcript. Okay, so just check that specific university. If they require it, go for it, look for it, and then upload it. And then also get your international passport data page as well. And then if they require an English test as well, you can also think about the fact that you can get that if you want to write. Then also check if there are exemptions, if there's an exemption for the particular country, especially if your country is an English-speaking country, you can get an exemption for that. How about if you're applying for masters? What do you need? Number one, you need your bachelor's degree transcript. You need your bachelor's degree, your result, and then you also need you also need reference letters. And there are two ways of writing reference letters. Number one, they can tell you upload the reference letter from your referees, right? It can be your professors or your employers. Then some other time they can just send they just ask you to provide the email address of those that you want to use as referees, and then they just send them a direct link, and through that link they'll be able to upload the reference. So it's a responsibility. Once you submit the application, the school automatically send the link for the reference to that professor. It is a responsibility to try to be reminding that your referee that to make sure that they hasten up to do that reference, because the sooner your application document completes, the better for you. And then a lot of programs might require you to write a statement of purpose, right? It's not a purpose. This is a very, very crucial piece of the M.Sc application, right? So you want to explain, why do you want to do the course? What makes you eligible for the course? When you finish this program, what are you going to do with this program? What have you done in the past? What are you currently doing? So all of these are what will be statement of purpose, right? And it also depends, right, on type of course. If you are doing a research or a course-based program, as the case may be, your SOP might be a little bit different, right? If you are doing a research program, like in my case, I applied for a research program and I already knew the project that I was going to be working on, right? So my letter of explanation, my statement of purpose, that is mostly what it's called. Sometimes they call it letter of explanation as well, but the statement of purpose is what a lot of schools call it, or letter of intent, right? So I just described the project that I want to do, right? For research programs where you've already secured a supervisor, this is just an added on, right? An add-on to, whatever things that you are going to be showing. But in either case, make sure that it's well written, because it improves your chances. If it's a course-based program and some other programs where you don't need a supervisor, where you apply for masters and then funding is going to be provided after you apply for admission, this is a very crucial piece. You have to start writing this essay a long time before your admission to make sure that you really get a very good, well-written SOP or letter of intent. And you can also send it to people to proofread as well, to make sure that you get the accurate and the well corrected English and everything, because they put all of those things in consideration. And then another thing you might be required to upload in your application is the supervisor support letter. This is only for thesis-based students. If you have a professor that agreed to supervise you, they might need that professor to write a letter of support, or they can just tell you to put the name of the professor. When the admission gets to the department, they are going to contact the professor to see that if both of you have reached that agreement. So make sure you reach that agreement before putting the professor's name, except they will tell you, speculate what are the 3 professors that you would love to work with. These are schools or programs, that research programs that don't require to get a supervisor before you apply. And then for PhD admission is basically you need your master's transcript, your master's degree certificate, you need your B.Sc certificate. Some might require to still upload your B.Sc certificate and your B.Sc transcript, so just kind of see exactly what they require, but they might require that. And then you also need reference letters, so this is very crucial, right? Make sure you get people that can write you very, very good letters of recommendation, because this is a very crucial part. It can distinguish you from every other applicant, right? So make sure that whoever is writing your student of your reference letter actually know you very well, and they can vouch for you, and they can write something excellent and and nice about you. And then you might also need, you always also need to write a letter of intent or the statement of purpose for your PhD application, right? And just some other things that you might be required to write. You might be required to add maybe a proposal or something, so kind of think about that, check the specific department if they require you to add like a research proposal as well. And then there are some other things that you might be required to add. For example, you might be required to write GRE, or the graduate record examination, or the GMAT is also an exam. These are specific to programs, right? For example, if you are going for MBA, there is no, I think for the most part, for a lot of the schools that I've seen, they require you to write a GMAT when you are planning to apply for MBA and things like economics and some other programs like that. And then if you are planning to apply for some programs in chemistry, some programs, central schools might require you to write GRE. Some might exclude it. So make sure you check the specific programs, that the program that you apply for, to check if they require you to add to have a GRE, and then they're going to tell you what's the minimum score that they require for that GRE. When you have that GRE, good score, it really improves your chances of getting admission. And then another thing you might also be required from some schools is a writing sample, right? Especially for those arts degrees, right? So they might require to have a writing sample. And if you're applying for a master's, your bachelor's thesis that you wrote, your honors thesis is a very good example of a writing sample, right? So you can just be putting chapter 1 of that. If there's any other article that you've written in the course of your bachelor's degree, you can add that. And if you're applying for PhD, they require for a writing, they are going to give you specifications of what they define as a writing sample. Make sure you follow that in that particular one specifically. That way you'll be able to get prepared for everything. And then once all of these documents are ready, the next thing is for you to go to the actual departmental website, and then you are going to search for the program that you want to apply for: diploma, masters, PhD, B.Sc, and then you're going to see a button that will say apply now. For diploma programs, especially in Ontario, they have a different portal for international students and local students to apply for. So you will always see all of the instructions there, right? Just follow those instructions and try as much as possible to put in your application way before the application deadline, so that you can have a lot of time to get all your supporting documents before the admission. That is usually the best option, to get every of your supporting documents and your reference letter, everything all in, before the application deadline, so that will really improve your chance that when you start reviewing the application right away, every of your document is complete, so that you can have better opportunity of getting an admission. I hope I've been able to say some things that address your concerns on the question. But if you have any other question that I haven't addressed in this video, leave a comment in the comment section, and then I will try to address your question.